right in front of it. But you strategists, you see the entire battlefield. You will be my eye, and I will fight.
I understand.
The gift of the advisor.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to this series where we count down the top Dynasty Warriors characters as of the latest game. Coming in at number 35, we have Xun Yu. Xun Yu is an advisor to Cao Cao whose talents as a strategist were compared to those of Sima Yi. Historical records indicate that Xun Yu is Xun Yu's second cousin nephew. Despite serving under Cao Cao, Xun Yu is known for his loyalty to the Han Dynasty, and his greatest achievement was when he advised Cao Cao to protect Emperor Xian to control the rebellions in the name of the Emperor. Xun Yu at some point fell ill, which made Cao Cao worry for his well-being, but soon the said illness would claim his life. Roman to the Three Kingdoms instead had Cao Cao supposedly shame Xun Yu to death on his loyalty to the Han, when the latter openly opposed the former's decision to crown himself as a duke. Before we jump into how Xun Yu has changed, I mean, he's not going to have any changes because his Playboy debut was back in Dynasty Warriors 8 Empires, so he's technically brand new in Dynasty Warriors 9. But let's take a look at the popularity polls to see why Xun Yu is up here number 35. In the first popularity poll, Xun Yu received 648 votes out of a total of over 75,000 votes, putting him down at the 48th spot. In the second popularity poll, he's going to shoot all the way up to the 16th spot. Very impressive to see him up there. And then in my personal rankings, he's going to drop back down to the 47th spot. So like I said, Xun Yu was made a playable character in Dynasty Warriors 8 Empires. I'm actually aware of the character because of out of the expansion games that Dynasty Warriors releases, I didn't play any of the Extreme Legends games, but I did play all of the Empires versions. So when there was a new character introduced within the Empire series, I always jumped in, I always knew who was there, and I was able to become acquainted with Xun Yu through that game. He wasn't a favorite of mine or anything crazy to where he stood out where it was like, wow, he's a really cool character, and he became like a top 5 way character or character in general for me. But he was a decent character, he was kind of cool, and it was cool to see another strategist being added to the wayside for that game. So before we talk about Xun Yu within the series, let's go ahead and talk about Xun Yu a little bit more for people who don't know. So like I said, Xun Yu was a Chinese military official and politician who served as an advisor to the warlord Cao Cao during the late Eastern Han Dynasty of China. Xun Yu's contributions to Cao Cao's forces and administration are immense. On one hand, he recommended many other men of caliber to Cao Cao, including Xun Yu, Guo Jia, Sima Yi, and a lot of other officers. At the same time, he participated in several battles and major events of the era, often giving timely advice to his lord. Cao Cao in turn respected Xun Yu greatly and placed great store in his advice. Throughout the game in Dynasty Warriors 9, you can see this very evidently within Xun Yu's story, and then a lot of the other officer stories as well. Xun Yu is always around, he's always giving advice to certain situations. Cao Cao was surrounded by a great body of advisors, and Xun Yu was one of them, so he did a lot of conversing with the other advisors as well, had very close relationships with the other advisors, but Xun Yu was always around, he was always giving advice, and it got to the point where Cao Cao was actually asking Xun Yu for advice at some points because of how much respect he was given due to the credit from his strategies that he was given to Cao Cao.
Liu Bei. Xun Yu, what do you think we should do?
And with that, I guess we can just go straight into his relationships and his significant battles and death and just everything about the character because he's a new character. He doesn't have any changes within the main series itself. So we're just going to go ahead and jump right into it. So his relationships within the kingdom, he has a lot of them. So the biggest relationship Xun Yu has within the kingdom is going to be with Cao Cao, Xun Yu, Guo Jia, Manchong, Xiahou Dun, and then maybe like little minor relationships with like Cao Shu or like Yue Jin. He has a couple of interactions with those characters, but the main ones is the people that I've already mentioned. Let's start off with the strategist of the team. So starting off with the strategist of the team, Xun Yu had the closest relationships with Xun Yu, Manchong, and then Guo Jia is probably the closest out of all of these strategists during that time. Of course, he's going to have that relationship with Xun Yu because they are relatives, and Xun Yu actually brings Xun Yu into the kingdom, like he introduces him to Cao Cao. And then of course with Manchong, they have, they're both strategists, they both have similar mindsets and similar minds. They are working together for, making Cao Cao's dream become a reality. And then Guo Jia, who was Xun Yu's closest friend, they both came from the same hometown, and Xun Yu is the only one that was able to catch onto his friend's secret illness during Dynasty Warriors 9, during his story.
However, I just need to hang on for a little bit longer.
That cough. I knew it.
Hey. What's with the scary look on your face? I'm just a little tired, that's all.
So a very close relationship with all of the strategists within his kingdom. And even though there were so many strategists within the kingdom, Xun Yu had a knack for dispensing invaluable advice to Cao Cao during times of strife and situations where it looked bad. Xun Yu was such a key component to Cao Cao's success that he really played a big part among all of the strategists. Next, talking about his relationship with Xiahou Dun. They have a lot of interactions within Dynasty Warriors 9. You know, Xiahou Dun's like the commander of the army, and then Xu Un was kind of like at the top of the strategist. So they were kind of always communicating as the top of their respective roles, and that's where their relationship comes in. Xiahou Dun respects Xun Un for his talents and for what he can bring to Cao Cao, and of course Xun Yu respects Xiahou Dun for what he can do and his relationship with Cao Cao and all that. So they had a very close relationship as well. It was very evident within the game, within their interactions, and it was pretty cool to see that Xun Yu's influence and that advice extends out to Xiahou Dun, because even after Xun Yu gets in trouble with Cao Cao, he comes back and Xiahou Dun is still asking him for advice, even though Cao Cao, his ruler, shunned him and basically told him that he was no longer of, value to him.
What are you doing here? I thought you were told to remain at Xucheng.
I was. If there is anything I can do to that end, I am going to do it.
I understand. In that case, come along with us. You'd better think of an apology to tell Cao Cao. I don't suppose you'll have a problem with that, though.
So let's go ahead and jump right into Cao Cao's relationship as well. They had a very good relationship all the way up until about the end of his story and, around his death and everything, because Xun Yu was initially a staunch supporter of Cao Cao, believing in the Lord's true abilities to rule the land, but he started to feel conflicted over the warlord's decision over time. So like I said before, Cao Cao was being advised by someone named Dong Zhao to become the Duke of Wei, so to become a duke. And this proposal was significant as it would allow Cao Cao to set up a self-contained feudal state within the Han Dynasty. But Xun Yu opposed this proposal because of his support for the emperor.
My lord, please forgive my interruption. I wish to speak to you about appointing yourself to the title of Duke of Wei.
Wait just a moment. I don't agree with your assessment. If our lord becomes the Duke of Wei, he is no longer acting on behalf of the emperor. He would simply have his own army and territory.
He believes that if Cao Cao were to become the Duke of Wei, it would look like he would be trying to overthrow and become an emperor himself. And that's the warning that Xun Yu was trying to give him, that if he were to take the land by stealing it from someone else, that eventuality would also happen to Cao Cao's kingdom eventually because of what he previously did, if that makes sense.
Those who steal their way to power must acknowledge that whatever foundation they create may also be stolen by another. Maybe not now, but eventually.
So Xun Yu was heavily against the idea of him becoming a duke. He did not approve of this move, which led to Cao Cao being greatly displeased with Xun Yu because of this, and he actually kind of demoted him within the game, maybe in history as well, but he demoted him from being on the battlefield to just administration and affairs.
My lord, I know it is too late to change anything, but I must reiterate that I do not support this move. Your path should follow that of the emperor.
Xun Yu, I want you to look after our administrative efforts in Xucheng from now on.
My lord, is this...
I no longer have any need of your support.
That's why I said earlier when, Xiahou Dun was still asking for advice from Xun Yu when Cao Cao said, I no longer need you, you no longer provide value to me. You can stay within Xucheng. Don't accompany me to the battlefield. I don't need your approval or support. I'm good without you. Xiahou Dun still asked for that advice from Xun Yu within the predicament that they were in. That's still a pretty powerful thing, because it's not like he was going against Cao Cao, but he's basically asking somebody who's in the wrong favor with Cao Cao what their advice is on how to get out of the situation. Because even though Xun Yu and Cao Cao disagree with that one particular thing, Xun Yu still wanted to do everything he could in order to end the chaos and bring peace to the land. But because of this, it's said that Xun Yu became ill and he would die in the following year because of this altercation that he had with Cao Cao. But up until that point, they had a very, very good relationship. Again, Cao Cao was coming to him, and of course all the other strategists for ideas and what to do, and he held him in a very high respect. I mean, Xun Yu was part of a lot of battles, and he played a very key role in a bunch of them, especially the Battle of Guandu. Cao Cao actually reached out to Xun Yu. I believe he was away from that battle, or he was like taking care of something else. Sent him a letter, asked him for his advice, and Xun Yu gave him advice which highlighted several advantages that his army had over Yuan Shao, urging him to stand fast, and the eventual result was a decisive victory for Cao Cao, which was crucial to his domination of northern China. So it's like Xun Yu played a very big part in the early rise of Cao Cao, and Cao Cao definitely respected him for that. However, because of that disagreement that they have, and because of Xun Yu's support of the emperor and what he believed would be the best way to bring about peace to the land, that's where the friction between their relationship fell apart, and that's what would eventually lead to Xun Yu's death. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the character himself within the game. Can't really complain too much about him because he's technically a new character. Again, he was introduced back in Dynasty Warriors 8 Empires, and I've already had an impression of the character, and that's why he's a little higher for me on the list and everything. But going through his story, he might be a little bit lower next time. I like his personality. I like the role that he has within the Kingdom of Wei. I like that role that he has within Cao Cao's forces. It's really cool to see that. Don't mind that at all, but the biggest downfall for me personally is definitely his weapon style within the game. Dynasty Warriors 9 gave him the throwing daggers, but it's a lot harder to kill. Like, I actually have to focus and try to kill people with the daggers on Dynasty Warriors 9. It's the only weapon I have to do that for, because all the other weapons I can kind of breeze through it, no big deal, no big, whatever, it's not really stressing. But with this, I actually have to like wait for my moment, counter, get rid of that shield so that way I can execute them easily and then go on to the next part of the mission or whatever it is. But the damage for the weapon is so bad. It doesn't activate, it doesn't go through the shield fast enough to activate the execution mode. Everything else, his appearance looks good. Yeah, his voice acting is really good. We already mentioned the relationships and his personality within the game and with other officers, and I don't have anything else to complain about the character. The only thing I don't like is the weapon. The weapon is the only thing that I don't like. But with that being said, that's pretty much it for Xun Yu. Xun Yu was a remarkable strategist for the, for Cao Cao's forces. He played a very pivotal role, especially in the early rise of Cao Cao. It's unfortunate that his relationship with Cao Cao kind of dwindled out. He was just staying true to what he believed was the right thing to do, and he was just staying true to that, and he tried to do that as best as he can to impart that wisdom onto Cao Cao. And even though they didn't, end off in the best of terms, Cao Cao, in the end he was still worried about his well-being and stuff. That's really cool to see. But I respect both characters for, telling their truth. But that's all I have for him here. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, definitely appreciate a like, comment, subscribe. Almost out of the 30s and into the 20s. That's going to be super exciting to see who's up there. Anyway, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching, everyone.